Hello friends, welcome back to our new video. In this video we will see about the power and sports. Power and sports we will see about the chapter 11 and 12. We will continue with the chapter 12. The theoretical understanding that we have come to in study of the consciousness provides a context that may be applied on the to the any field of human activity. Examine the sports is good illusions because the sport is the it's so widely observed that and the extensive documents great sports heroes have been celebrated through the history at least as the much knowable figure in science, the arts and any other area of the circular achievements. Sport figure they symbolize the possibilities of the excellence for all of us. As the level of the composition they respect the mystery. What is the alternative and the brightest crowd in to its feet commonly such interested in the illusionistic loyalty? At the first we might think that's a pride and fascination with the competitive competition and the tribute, but while this motive may produce the pleasure and the excellence, there got the account from for a far greater emotion, respect, and away elected by the display of the alternative excellence. What animated the crowd and is an individual intuitive recognition of the heroic civilization required to overcome human illusions and the achievement new levels of powers. High state of the consciousness are also frequently expired by the alternates. It's widely documented that the long distance runners frequently attain the sumbil state of the pace and joy, popularly referred to as the runner's high. This very evaluated that the consciousness in fact often inspired the prolonged transformation of the pain and the exclusion necessary to achieve higher level to performance. This is phenomenon is the commonly described in the terms of pushing on self on the point where on one suddenly breaks through a performance barrier and the activity becomes effortless. The body then seems to move with the grace and ease of its own across, as the through animated by the some invisible force. The accompanying, accompanying state of the joy quite distinct from the thrill of success. It is its joy of pace and oneness with the leaves. It's notable that is that this translates of the personal self surrender to the very essential or spirit of life often occur at the point just beyond the apparent limit of the alternative abilities. The same barrier is the predicted by the paradigm of the one's own part, asset, accomplishment, or of what has been recognized as the theoretically possible takes of for the instance the historically 4 minute smile until Rolf Bannister tore down that barrier. It was the universally accepted that it wasn't humanly possible to run any faster. Beginners greatest when wasn't just in breaking the records but breaking through the palindrome to the to a new model of human possibility. This is the breakthrough to new level of patience has corresponds in every field of human endeavor. In many desire enterprise, those who have achieved greater than has given parallel accounts of the circumstances surrounding their accomplishment. We have made celebration of the various kind of records of alternating achievement, including movies of all movies about the sports studies. The French film The Biggest Blue reproduced the highest celebration. This is the story of Jacques Mayol, of the Frenchman who held the world record for the deep sea diving for the many years. The movie celebrated that at a crossingly extraordinary energy level of the 700 and has capacity of the put viewers into higher state of consciousness. The manager of one movie theater that saw it described the audience warning out lost in the silence or crying with the joy they could not describe. Through the use of slow motion photography, the movie achieve an archer discipline of the world's greater deep sea diver in elevate the state of the consciousness. A subjective sentences of the slow motion beauty and the grace is the frequently noted that higher state time seems to the stop, and there is the inner silence despite the noise of the world. We see throughout the film of the Jacuzzi Mayol maintains this state by the intensity of his concentration, which keeps him in a almost constant meditate coordinating in the mode he translates the ordinary human limitations, for he become enabled to achieve great features that through already physiology the deeper he dives, the slower he heartbeat become and his blood distribution constant almost entire in his brain. His best friend himself, a highly evoluted alternate, dies in an attempt to merge. Mayall's feet because he hadn't reached the level of consciousness required to translate to the normal limits of the body. The subjective experience of the effortless bills also occur in the other type of exceptional physics performance such as that of the world famous Sufi dancer knows of a Willring dyspepsia who through the discipline and exploiting participate become able to move effortlessly through the space over a long period of time with diligent prescription. The most highly developed material arts clearly demonstrated how motive and the principal art of ultimate importance in the extraordinary alternative achievement. The most frequently hard abdomination to the trainers it stopped trying to use force. Cool devoted to these arts produce master who have overriding conquer is victory for of the higher self over lower through the control training and commitment to goal aligned with the power true power alignment with this high power attractor pattern isn't limited to excrease of the discipline itself but become an entirely lifestyle. Thus when the power of the principle is translated to the practitioner of the result being to be manifest everywhere in this life. The hallmark of the true gender is the alternative achievement is the always humanity, such as the exhibit by the Pablo, Pablo Marols after winning his gold medals in the 1992 Summer Olympics. Such alternative express gratitude liner away and the awareness that their higher performance was merely the result of an individual efforts. The maximum personal efforts brought them to breakthrough point from the which they were they transport by the power of greater than of the individual self. This typically expressed by as the discovery of some aspect the self unknown or unexperienced in its pure form. Pride and sport. We will see about the pride and sports. Throughout the neology, we can demonstrate that if one is the motivated by any of the energy, feel below the courage of the goes weak, the nature alliances heal that bring down not just the alternative but the potentially great in the all areas of human achievements is pride. Pride celebrated the 175 not only make the performer go weak, but it can't provide the motivational power of love, honor, and or dedication to the higher principle or even to excellence itself. If we ask a powerful alternate to hold in mind the hope of defecting his opponent of the becoming a star or making a lot of money, we will see that he goes weak and we can put down his strength. Muscular arm with the minimal efforts, the same alternative holding in mind the honor of his country of his sport and dedication of his performance to the someone he loves or even the Sri Joy maximum efforts for the sake of excellence goes powerfully strong, and we cannot push down his arm with the even greater effort. Thus, the competitor who is motivated by the pride or greed, or instead the primarily in the defending an opponent, will go weak at the moment of the starting gun and be unable to achieve the maximum continued effort necessary for the great achievement. At times we seen an alternative start poorly for the such reason, but as the context process and the selfie goals of forgotten he improves his performance. We also see opposite have happen when a alternate start well because he is competing for the honor of his country, his team of the sport itself. But then as he nears the goal, the attention of the personal glory or triple over the rives makes him lose strength and from he flumps. Once unfortunate sequence of the consciousness occur when an alternate set a new record during the qualifying trials crossing new personal ambitious but during the final competition goes to a pies to the puzzlement of the audience. If top performer are the imbued with the belief that their excellence isn't personal accomplishment but the gift beyonding to all of mankind as the demonstration of the man's potential, they will go strong and the remain go tough and event. The scale of consciousness may be seen in one aspect as the scale of ego, with the level of 200 being the point where the selfishness being to truth the selflessness. At the railfield plan of the Olympic composition, the destroyed consequences both in private and in public life of the motivation emanating from the level of below 200 are all too clearly illustrated by the well-known skeleton invoking the figure skeleton in the already 1990s. This is alternate the exclusive zeal to compare an Olympic medal and defend the rival and any means available led her the abdomen the power of ethical principle and the descent to the grossest level of force. There could hardly be a more telling example of the how submission to negative attractor field can produce the rapid collapse of the otherwise promising alternate career, where higher motivation towards the excellence give access to the realm of the grace and the power of self-centered motivation of the personal gain draw one almost magniciously into the realm of the force, the repelling of the recognition in the even in the symbolic form of the medal, not to mention the financial reward that may accompany in head. Little to do with the true aesthetic greatness which proceed from the alternate attribute of the stature of the spirit. This is what we learn in the camp caption. Even if the competitor does not surrender to the lust for the wealth and fame, the drive to attain dominance in one sport rather than to simply manifest all the excellence that one is the capable of the has its own corrupting egoistic effort, the negative force associated with the level of pride. There's nothing instinctively wrong with some manifestation of pride. We all may well be proud when we take the Americans Cup or our Olympics win medals, but that's a different kind of pride. It's a honoring of the human achievement that translated the personal pride. We honor that endeavor, not the personal accomplishment, which is the only of the occasion is the experience expression of the something greater, universal, and the intimate in the human heart. The Olympics one of the greatest drama of the human striving and the and one that capture everyone's imagination provides a context that should current personal pride. The entire setting inspired the corruption to move from the personal pride to the essential extreme that is an expression is the unconditional love, one that also honors one's opponents for their dedication to the same same lofty principles. The media tends to evolve the downside of the sport and undermine the alternative become the because the celebrity status either consciously or unconsciously elected this egoism. Greater alternate needs to grid themselves against this source of the contamination. Humility and the gratitude seems to be the only effective shield against the unsold of the media exploration. Alternate the in the traditional materials art employs specific experience of the overcome any tendency towards the egoism, the dedication of the one's skill, performance, or career to the higher principle provide the only absolute protection. True alternative power of the characterized by the grace, sensitivity, inner quiet, and the paradoxically gentleness in the non-competitive lives of the even fire compilation. We celebrated the champion because we recognize that he has overcome a personal ambition through the certified and the dedication to higher principle. The great become a legendary when they teach by the example. It isn't where what they have nor what they do, but what they have become that inspire all of mankind, and that what we honor in them. We should seek to protect their humanity from the force of explanation that accompany a climb in the everyday world. We need to educate the public that the abilities of this alternate and their greater performance and are the gifts of mankind to be respect and the defended from the abuse of the media and corporated commerce. The Olympic spirit rised within the heart of the every man and woman. Greater alternates can by the example awareness of the that principle in all people. These heroes are the and their spoke, spokesmen. There are potentially powerful influence on the all mankind. Literally, the power to lift the world on their shoulders. The nurturing of the excellence and recognition of the its value is repos, responsibility of all men, because the quest for the excellence in any area of human endeavor inspire us all toward the utilization of the every form of the man's yet unrealized unrealized realized greatness, social power and the human spirit. For chapter 13 we will going to take our next chapter. This is the chapter 13, the social power and the human spirit. What is the social power and what should be the human spirit? We will see about this lecture. When we cheers to the spirit of the life true alternate, what we applied is the demonstrated of all the significance to the world spirit and endless for us the course tendency commitment and alignment with the principle demonstration of the excellence honor respect and humility to inspire the impulse feeling with the spirit. Despite men means the dejected, hopeless, defected, but the what exactly does the term spirit signify? The collective totality of the human experience can be collaborate in the fairs that such them spirit of or when we export the pupil get in the spirit, that spirit is highly pragmatic factor which can be determined in the difference between the victory and defeat is is well known by the military commanders, coach and CEOs and employee or other groups member who doesn't enter into the spirit of the group's enterprise soon feels himself without a job or growth. So it's clear that spirit refers to an unseen essence which never changes even through its expression varies from the one situation to another. This is essence. It's vital when we lose our spirit, we die, we expire from the lack of that which inspired. Clinically speaking, then we can say that spirits equipments with a life, the energy of the life itself can be termed spirit. Spirit is the aliveness that the accompany and the is expression of the alignment with the life of energy, the power of higher energy attractor patterns in embolic sustained life. Their opposite are the catabolic, eventually leading to death. True power, life is equal to spirit. Wellness, the force, is equal to weakness and is equal to death. When an individual has lost lack those quantity, we turn spiritually. He he become a devoid of the humanity, love, and the self-respect. He may be even become a selfish or violent. When the national veers from its alignment with the spirit of man, it can become an international criminal. It's common error to identify spirituality with the religion. We noted the previously that the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of the Independence clearly differentiate between the spiritual and the religious. The United States government is forbidden the essential establish any religions. Last is impede the freedom of the people. Yet these same documents, argument, and the government's authority derive from the spiritual principles. In fact, the floor model of the world's greater religion would be shocked at the profoundly unspiritual deeds were worth in their names throughout the history, many of which would make a health shudder. Force always destructed truth for its own self surviving purpose, or over time the spiritual principle upon which religion are the base become the destroyed for the expedient ends, such as the power of money and other worldliness. Is the spiritual is tolerant, yet to religionity is the commonly intolerant. The former leads to a peace, the latter of the sheriff bullshit and the previous criminality. There are remained, however, buried within the ever religion, the spiritual fundamental that that is originated from the like religions. Entire cultures are weakened when the principle that they are based upon the course or the content contaminated by the false impression. To more fully understand the nature of the spirit is power and the how it organizes the operates as a social movement, do we will do well to study a contemporary spiritual organization of the enormous power and the influencers about the which everything is public record on the one that's already allowed the alignment with the spirit of the man, yet fleshly state that is not religious. That is the 55 years old organization know the Alcoholic Anonymous, the power of 12 step programs. We all know something about the Alcoholics Anonymous because its others alternate number is the millions, but also because it has become a woven into the very fabric of modern society. AA and its offshoot organization have been exterminated by the effort in way one way of the another. The life of the lives of about 15% of Americans at this time, even where the 12-step based self help groups don't enter lives directly, they affect everyone indirectly because they are reinforced certainly value by the example. Let's study by the power principle that AA is the base upon and how this fundamental fun, foundation came about the historically and the examine the impact of this principle have within the general population as well as among member. We can look what AA is the is and also what is not and learn from both. According to the its permeable, A is not aligned with any sets, denomination, politics, or organization. In addiction, it has no opinion opinion or one outside matter. It's neither for on nor against any other approach to the problem or alcoholism. It has no due or fees, no ceremonies, trappings, officers of law or lawyers in on to the probable proprietary is it has no affiliation. Not only are the members equal, but all AA groups are the anonymous and the self-supporting. Even the 12th basis step by the which member recover the specified as only suggestion. The use of the correction of any kind is avoided and emphasized by the stolen such as the one day at a time. Easy does it first thing first, and the most important lives and let live. Alcoholics Anonymous respect freedom in that is that it leaves choice up to the individual. Its identifiable power patterns are those honestly responsibility, humanity, service, and the practice of the tolerance, goodwill, and the brotherhood. AA doesn't subscribe to the any particular ethic, has no code of the right and wrong or good and bad, and avoids a major moral judgment. AA doesn't try to control anyone, including its own members. What it does instead is chart a path. It is merely say to its member, if you practice this principle in all your affairs, you will recover from the grave and the possessive faith liner and the regain your health and self-respect and the capacity to live a faithful and the fulfilling it life for the yourself others. AA is the original example of the power of these principles to cure hopeless disease and the change the destructive personality pattern of the member. From this paradigm came all subsequent from the group therapy through the discovery that groups of the people coming together on the formal basis and address their mutual problems have a enorm- enormous power. AI unknown, unknown for the suspense of the double A and meaning members that the alternative for their children than the glamorous anonymous narcotics and anonymous patterns anonymous overrated anonymous and the so on. There are now countless anonymous 12-step self-help organizations dealing with every form of the human suffering. Americans, as the result of all this, have now largely turned from the condemn, condemning the self-destructive behaviors of the all, recognizing this that the that these conditions are indeed curable disease. For the partial viewpoint, the sizable impact of the self-help organization on the society can be counted. Not only the relief of human suffering, and the reconstitution of the familiar, but the savings of billions of dollars. Ascentism, automobile insure rate, welfare, healthcare, and the penal system costs are all generally modern by the wild, widespread behavioral change produced by this movement. The cost of state providence and the counseling and the group of therapy alone for the millions of throwable individual and several world by suggesting by the millions the members of this organization unmore unanimously agree that the admitting the limitation of their Individual egos allow them to experience a true power, and that is the that power that brought about their recovery, which is the highest nothing on earth, including the medicine, physiatric, or the branch of modern science has been able to do. The history of Alcoholics Anonymous. We can make some important observation from the story of how the prototype 12 steps organization Alcoholics Anonymous came into the extraction back in the 1930s. Alcoholism was accepted as it had been over the centuries as the hopeless progressive disease that had baffled medicine, science, and the religion as well. All forms of drugs addiction were through, throughout the throughout to be incurable, and when they reach certain stage, victim are the simply but the put away. In the earlier 1930s, the prominence and the American businessmen are had sought every crore for his alcoholism without the avail. He he then went to see the famous swipey physiatric Creral judged for the treatment the relevant and age for the approximately a year, by the which time he had achieved some degree of the sobriety. Rowland returned to the United States full of hope, only a fall in again with the addictive alcoholism. Roald went back to the Switzerland and see the jump again, asked the future treatment. Jung humbly told him that neither this silence nor art could help him with further, but throughout the man's history, really, but from time to time, some who had abandoned themselves completely to some spiritual organization and surren- surrendered to the God for the help had recovered. Roland returned to the United States dejected by but the followed church addictive and the suit of the organization of that time called of the Oxford groups. These were the groups of individuals who met regularly regularly to discuss living life according to the spiritual principles, very much like those adopted by the later AA. Through this means, re, Roland in fact of recovered it, and his recovery was the source of instrument of to another conquered party named Edwin T. or the AB, who was the also desperate alcoholic beyond all help. When the Roland told Abby of how he had recovered, Abby forced the suit and also got sober. The pattern of one person helping another with the same problem then the extend from the Abby to his friend Bill, who had been hospitalized by the extended from the AB to his friend Bill, who had been hospitalized hos- hospitalized frequently for the hopeless. Incredible alcoholism and the whose condition was the medically grave. Abby told Bill that his recovery was based on the service to the other moral house clearing anonymously, Mitty and the humanity, and also surrounding to the power of the greater than himself. Bill W. was an ancient ancient and the found the idea of the surrendering to the higher power underlapping the say the large and the whole idea of the surrender was the abhorrent to the Bill's pride. Consequently, he sank into an absolute black despite he had a mental obsession with him physically already to the alcohol which conducted him to sickness instantly and the death of programmation at programmation that had been clearly spelled out him and his wife Louise ultimately Bill gave up the completely at this point. He had the profound experience of an infinite presence and light, and the felt great scene of the past. That is, that night he was finally able to sleep, and when he awoke the next day, he felt uh, through the bee had been transformed in some incredibly way. The efficiency of Bill's experience was confirmed by the Dr. William D. Skillworth, his physician at what what was the town's hospital, and on the website of the New York City. Skillworth had treated more than 1,000 alcoholics, and the process had been acquired enough to wisdom to recognize the profound importance of the Bill's experience. It was it was he who later introduced Bill to the great physiologist William James' classic book, The Variant of the Religionist Experience. Bill wanted to pass his gift on the other hand, as he himself said, I spent the next few months trying to soldier up the drunk, but with success. Eventually, he discovered that it was necessary to convince the subject of the hopelessness of his condition. In modern physiologist term, the overcome his denial. Bill's first success was Dr. Bob, and the surgeon from the Anchor, Ohio, who turned out to have greater aptitude for the spiritual. He later became a co-founder of AA units. His death in the 1956, Dr. Dove never took another drink. The enormous power that was realized through the bills was the experience has manifested itself extensively in the millions of living lives that have been transformed because of it. In life's listing of the 100 greatest Americans who ever lived, Bill W. was the created with being the originator of the entire self-help movement. The story of Bill W. Bill W. is the Bill V. is the typical of the individual who have been channel of the great power of the principle, and the convey in the brief career record the lives of the millions over long period of the time. Jesus Christ, for the instance, through throughout for the only 3 short years, and yet his techniques transformed all of the Western society for the generation since. Man's encounter with these techniques lie in the center of Western history of the at least 200 years. The highest celebration of the attractor power field that we have discovered has indirectly been associated with the techniques of the great spiritual matters of history. They are always disminent from the celebrated power of the energy field, the greater master original techniques to their current practice in the form of organized relation, yet to original principle themselves retain their intimate power pattern. It's merely their expression that's become weaker, and techniques themselves have the same profound power they always did. The power of principle remains the unreached, unreached throughout the time, whenever the fully understand them or not. These principles are the of ideals for which mankind strive. From our own struggles to better ourselves, we learn composition for those still in the grid of inner.